Okay, so since I'm in the mood, or I'm just working out, and I changed my workout routine. I'm working out at home for a lot of my basic stuff, which was all the plan the whole time. So really, it's just, but I'm able to get home now and do a good portion of my workout at home at dumbbells. Okay, this is going to be no more than a 5-minute video on vitamins or supplements. And this is going to be a non-scientific, well, I guess partially scientific because I would be the subject, but it's not like a control group or any of that stuff, but it's more like common sense logic. It's to sort of debunk the difference between just bro science and real science, I guess. Is it like, obviously, if you take like steroids, you're going to get bigger. There's no like argument about that. They don't even really do studies about it because it's just so proven. Which is why like supplements and all the other things, there's just so many studies, so many opinions, and so much going on about it. Is because the results are not like conclusive enough to where it's just 100% knowledge. Like, it's just, if you take steroids and you work out, you're going to get bigger. It just is. So if you're like looking at any of these supplements, there's going to be some supplements that work better than others. And obviously you have your creatine, which I would say works. You have your protein, which I would say works. I would say that fat burners, they work. Even the worst ones. Sometimes the worst ones are even best just because of the way they work. I'd say BCAAs are like an iffy subject because it's really hard to, how do you say that it helps you repair? I mean, you'd have to do long-term studies, which is sort of where I'm going to jump in for this next minute, is that if you're natural, if you're not going with anabolic, if you're not going with some sort of like hands down, like fist to the face type of, proven tech or whatever, is that you're going to see results from everything over a course of time. Most of it is going to come no sooner than a month. Most of it's going to come in 3 months. It's sort of just like a natural bodybuilder that takes no supplements. It's just going to see, it's going to take time. Okay. So the third thing, that was only 20 seconds, is it is quality. There's additives that don't agree with you. And I guess I should backtrack a little bit, is that quality is also relative. It's depending on what your body needs and what it likes. So like I'm sort of lactose intolerant, so I have to stay away from dairy, like a lot of protein, because it comes from dairy and it hurts my stomach, which is, but I also get sick from like actual like dairy products. So I know it's not just that it's the protein farts or whatever. And fat burners can come in have different stuff in them, have different ingredients. And different ingredients, depending on if you have a surplus, depending on the rest of your diet, is going to work. It is either going to start your metabolism, put something in your body to start burning, or it's just outright just some sort of like semi-miracle drug where, just like how some people in different parts of the world are skinnier or just different in their own individual ways. So taking them is going to work, typically, but it's going to be such a small percentage that it's just help. It's not going to do it all on its own. So, like, I'm taking Tercursus, whatever it is, just to see what it does. But I took creatine and stopped taking it. But it worked. It did what it said it was going to do. It did make me more full. It did improve my, to a very small degree, but noticeable. And by noticeable, that definitely means like one more rep. Like, I'm not saying it was just one more rep, but just a little bit extra. It goes a long way. And the thing about why they keep saying cycles is that you need to go on it so your body doesn't get so used to it, and then you go off of it and go back onto it. And it's sort of like if you're going to prep for a show, you're going to prep for a run, is that you just need to like alternate what you're using. But it's not just mind games. A lot of these stuff will work. It's just to a very low percentage and low degree. So find what works for you, but just have in mind that if it's questionable, that most likely it probably does something. It's sort of like if you need a vitamin, this is the best way I can explain it. Is that like, say you're deficient in vitamin C. Well, it's not that you don't have vitamin C, but if you just had a little bit more, you would see better results and wouldn't be needed as much. So but it's probably just a small fraction that makes not a huge difference. And that's just sort of how supplements in general work. So really, I just want you not to be like afraid, and I don't, and it is about like money versus not having money, like it can be cost efficient at the same time, because the results that you're going to get are not going to be like so drastic that you need it. But it's like, there was a time where I wanted to lose some weight, and most people say that, fat burners don't work. Well, it helped. I could tell because of how dialed in my diet is that it did. It gave me, over the course of like the 2 or 3 months I took it, I think it was like 2.5 months, and I wasn't taking a whole lot, is that it helped me to legitimately lose like 3 to 5 pounds more than I typically would in the same session. And that's significant. I mean, that is a significant amount. And that's why, like, you would say, like, a bodybuilder and people taking anabolic steroids are like, these mass monsters. Like, a lot of times you can't take their word for it just simply because of what they're taking and their experiences. They're already ripped, they're already shredded, they're already taking like some substance that's like gonna way overshadow like anything else you take. So a lot of times just hearing it from somebody that's not enhanced, quote unquote, or not taking anything that's super controversial, is that you're just gonna see like a small percentage, not like a huge percentage. And so the best thing is to try it out, but give yourself enough time to try it for a certain length of time, and then give yourself time afterwards to when you stop taking it, to really make a decision. And sometimes it'll take you 2 or 3 times. Like creatine, this is going over. Creatine, I saw immediately. That stuff works like within a week or 2. Fat burners really actually took almost like 6 or 7 weeks of like just burning off like a tiny extra bit of fat for me to really notice. Protein is like sort of one of those things that's like a feeling thing. Is that like you go over a course of time, like you feel like you're fuller, and that you're able to recover more, and like kind of the soreness slightly goes away. It's not like drop dead, but like you sort of see, like if you take it for like 2 or 3 months, then when you stop taking it, you actually do see how you will like it's also a feeling thing where you slightly feel less full, because that's sort of what it does, and you slightly feel like a little bit more sore, and you slightly feel like you're not getting enough food, sort of like you would notice if you were like eating too much or eating too little. It's just something that happens. So and then BCAAs, I've never really had any hands down experience that it works real well. The reason why I still drink it is because it doesn't have any sugar in it and it just tastes good. So like it's just like kind of like something that makes me feel better after I get done working out. It doesn't have anything that's like super sugary, like if you find the right products. It doesn't have anything in it that like makes me fat really, and it just has a decent taste to it. So anyway, and that's why I still drink it, but I don't really see any much benefit, and it's not super expensive. The only other thing that I could really comment on is, I had bad experience with creatine, and that's about it. I really didn't like the way that it made me feel, and I got hurt twice. And every time that it was when I started taking creatine. So I stay away from all creatine products, anything that even has a little bit of creatine. So anyway, that's just like a short take. It's ended up being 10 minutes, but hopefully like that explains or like helps the average person to understand that it's not like you take it, it's not a miracle, but it's a slightly helpful. It's like when you have like the flu and you take some sort of cough and flu. It doesn't take the flu away, but it just helps you deal with it. It's the same thing with most supplements, but you do have to be careful. You do have to be careful of the supplements you take. You do need to be a little bit more cautious, really look what's in it, and then over time, you'll understand what to take, what not to take, what your body reacts to, what your body needs, and all that different stuff. And I guess a doctor would be a good person to go to, because he can tell you sort of like if your overall health gets a little bit better, then I mean, what's the harm?